Okay. So here's the reason why my mom didn't let me see anime. First reason, if you look at my very past life, I was banned for all eternity from anime in my past life, and that it only happened by miracle in this life. Second, very first anime I would have been able to see is Hellsing. Keep that in mind, Hellsing, a not beginner-friendly anime. First one I actually ended up seeing was a Lupin the First, which was a huge accident, and they didn't want that. But Lupin is still more beginner-friendly, so I'm just gonna say it. Third, they wanted me to see the Immortal Bloodline instead, and I saw that too. Because the first actually did make me curious. But then you got 3. If you review Hellsing, it is not a beginner-friendly anime, and it is most certainly not for kids. Look at Hellsing. Look at Stitch or Terminator 2D No Fate. Stitch is very beginner-friendly for film fans. No, it wasn't a beginner when I watched it. It is far from beginner unfriendly. Okay, it's a very good one to start things off with. And Terminator 2D No Fate is already M-rated, yes. I do think the movie itself I would let a kid watch with parental supervision. Same way my dad let me watch The Matrix with his supervision in bed together.
Good night, kiddo.
Good night. But the game does not have the same intensity. Terminator 2D No Fate is a retro pixel art game in the style of Contra. And it basically it's really amazing. I mean, it's considered overall beginner friendly. And Mouse PI for Hire, I would say that was a little less beginner friendly. It's not beginner unfriendly either for video games. Granted, for those two, Terminator and Mouse PI, I am far from a beginner. But at the same time, I'll say this. Yes, they are good games. And yes, they are really fun. If that's all you care about, I don't think you'll care if they're beginner friendly or not. Your kid's gonna love them, and they're probably gonna play through all the endings or both of them. So they do show alternate endings. Basically, Terminator, after you beat the game, you have the option to do 2 alternate endings, which is required to unlock some of the modes. For Mouse PI for Hire, it's a little more challenging. You have to do some of the alternate endings to unlock some of the other cutscene, and creates more of a level risk. I do like that. So, other than that, yes, they're fun. They're fun as all hell. That's the reason why I'd still recommend them. And not only that, but Mouse PI for Hire is T-rated, so if they were intending that being Terminator, man, something weird is happening this timeline. But let's just mention Terminator first. That one is M-rated, sure, but it's pixel art M-rated. It's retro-inspired M-rated. It's not kind of like AVG and 8-bit, or Terminator, Angry Video Game Nerd 8-bit, or Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. Believe it or not, when I was under 18, yes, Mom did let me play Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. It was one of the only M-rated games she let me play other than Goat Simulator PC Edition. It was fun. It was only because of YouTuber game. If I can handle that, if you can handle that, it can handle Terminator 2D No Fate. Mouse PI for Hire is a little more complicated. Granted, if they handle Doom, they can handle things like Hi-Fi Rush and Donkey Kong Bonanza. They could probably handle that one too. Hellsing at the Age of Zero is insane. That is bonkers. That is insane. And that's probably why Mom said no to anime. I am dead ass serious. And look, so I'm gonna get out to the second part of the video now. The first 4 minutes 30 seconds is over. I am worried about everything becoming Konichiwa Ninja Pirate Adventure. I'll explain why. Because anime ain't exactly the most appropriate art form, right? You all know it's not for kids. I mean, if I got startled at Ninja 2, which yes, I did like that movie. I really loved it. I was startled, and on top of the fact that I was startled, I didn't have time for the post-credit scene. I had to go back for dinner at the hotel I was staying at, that while my house was being worked on for the sewer pipes. I'll have time to see the post-credit scene after. But if that startled me, yeah, I'm worried about everything becoming Ninja Pirate Adventure. Granted, Lupin the Third, the first, didn't startle me. Ninja 2 did, so that one was a little intense. But I did like it. I really liked it. It was really fun. It's just, I do have to admit, they lied about being a kid's movie by not rating it and making it unrated. They should have put a PG-13 theatrical cut too. That's what I would have done. So that way audiences know what to expect. That's what I would have done. I love the movie, but I did not love the fact that they waited until the theatrical release to reveal it was PG-13. That was deceptive. But other than that, yeah, we gotta talk. If everything becomes Ninja Pirate Adventure, that's not okay. There has to be some Western media to compete alongside it. And looking at the ratings they gave me, they're allowing for a lot of shit. They're allowing for Super Smash Bros. They're allowing for Legos. They're allowing for Transformers movies, since the Lego movie is allowed. And how I know this? Every time they're allowing for DC. They're allowing for Lord of the Rings. They're allowing for even movies like Monty Python the Holy Grail and stuff like that. They're allowing for DreamWorks movies, old ones. Those are not, they're still, in the post-shift, they're not making that many of them right now. Pre-shift, they are. Okay, so I kind of got lucky there. But, I'll say this, okay? I'll say a few, and Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die was a blast. Basically, that Matrix and Terminator makes me want to make Superhumans versus Intelligence.GPT. Basically, it's going to happen if I manage to get a hold of this art form. But other than that, basically, here's the thing I'm going to say. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it now. And granted, they're allowing for Minecraft. They're allowing for Call of Duty, surprisingly. Which I would rather allow you to play, even though I wasn't a huge part of letting kids play Call of Duty. I'd rather you play a kid play that, unfortunately, than watch Helsinki. That is just bonkers. They would even let that at 0. That's just bonanza. That idea is bonanzas. They would even say that was okay. I don't know how they would even allow that. And, well, I'll say this. I'll say this. If everything became Ninja Pirate Adventure, there was no Western anime media in the video game or movie sector compete against it, I'd probably go insane. That's why I'm glad there's at least Minecraft. That's why I'm glad there's at least Fortnite OG even, which is surprising. That's why I'm glad they're at least allowing some things. Okay? And judging by what they're showing, they're even allowing Star Wars and Marvel. Marvel eventually. They don't know how they're going to fix CU, but they're allowing the original trilogy. And they're even allowing the sequels and the prequels we saw, which blows my mind. Yeah. You know, the one that I think the reason why they're allowing those is they know it's too late. We kind of got exposed to those. So I'll show the real ones that had the Yuzhong Bong versus New Jedi Order eventually, not the First Order, which is read by above the Resistance, the Rebellion and stuff. Show the real version of the Acolyte too, instead of the one where they said, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, like whatever the real version was. Krigsa, I want to see that one, not the one I saw. But yeah, basically there needs to be at least some competition for me. Because we all know how intense ninja pirate adventure can get. We all know that, okay? And even though, yes, Disney movies are getting a little intense, they are showing scenes that are not exactly family friendly. I'll say this. Compare that to the ending of the Evangelion, where literally the third impact happens, Azura dies, and Shinji is left alone. The fact that they even made 4 movies after that to milk the franchise, to give parents a conclusion after that happened, which might be the only time I get that conclusion this summer. I'll watch it this summer just to get that conclusion. It's also mind-blowing because if you saw that ending, you don't know what the heck did I just see. I mean, here's the thing. At least the Toy Story 3's Incinerate version of the ending. The world goes on without the toys. I cannot say the same with the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion. The world just ends. Everything dies. Whole world just turns into LCD. Not LSD, LCD. Which is a human consciousness unified into one. Orange Fanta shit. Yes. This is a real version of the show, and if people demand it, they might have the power to do it, because I saw on Netflix the subtitles were off with the words. The fact that the subtitles did not have matched the words that were being said on screen, although they were similar, shows that they made mistakes showing this by accident. They have to begrudgingly say it. Which, yes, nowadays is not as bad, but back in the day, I want you to keep in mind, back in the day, 3D was just getting started. You only had Ants, Toy Story, and, Bugs Life. Back in the day, even DreamWorks was making 2D films, like El Road to El Dorado and Prince of Egypt. Back in the day, you still didn't have Shrek or Monsters, Inc., which we don't have Monsters, Inc. outside the first one now, or that shitty prequel that needs a director's cut. I did see there was potential in that one. They need a director's cut for Monsters U. Because there are some good things about it, I will admit, but they need to fix parts of it that make me hate the film. Other than that, but basically, this was back when Disney was full blast 2D. Everyone was full blast 2D. Everyone, when the thing was full blast 2D. Cartoons, whatever. Morning cartoons in the 90s, whatever. Imagine showing somebody in 1997 as their last anime ever until their very next life, which 26, let's just say almost 30 years later. 2020, by accident. This, Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion. And seeing it end like that before blocking forever. That is not a good ending. That is a very unhappy ending. And I won't lie. That was insane. That, though, they took that risk, because a bunch of toxic fans in Japan gave death threats to Azura's voice actor. Yes. And lusted over. I don't even know what they're doing. I don't know. Basically, whatever happened, happened. And the reason why I'm mentioning that ending is because it was too traumatic for the Western viewers, and the only people who understand why it had to end that way was the Eastern viewers who actually knew what was going on. Yes, death threats were sent to the actor of Azura, and that's why they changed the ending to that. To the detriment of the rest of the world. And especially America. So what am I saying? I'm saying, look, and it's the whole reason why I messed out on so much anime now in this lifetime. Attack on Titan, Death Note, Demon Slayer, which I would have loved to see Demon Slayer. I actually like that show. My Hero Academia, etc., etc., etc. Because Mom had a stigma around it because of that. And I'm just going to go outright and say this. I don't think everything ought to be Ninja Pirate Adventure. If it ends up being that way, oh man, you're gonna let yourself suffer. And yeah, there you go. Bye.